When the global elite invest billions into a megaproject, they expect absolute perfection. Yet, across the Earth, some of the most expensive engineering feats ever conceived have been completely left for dead. Today, we will be counting down the top 5 abandoned megaprojects that cost billions. Let's get into it. At number 5 is Burj Al Babas, a development near Mudurnu, Turkey, that set out to build 732 nearly identical mini castle villas, each styled with Gothic turrets, Juliet balconies, and round towers inspired by Istanbul's Galata Tower. Developer Surat Group marketed the villas to wealthy buyers across the Middle East at $300,000 to $500,000 each, with roughly half the units selling in advance, including approximately 150 buyers from Kuwait City alone. Construction employed 2,500 workers and was originally projected to finish in 4 years. By the time the money ran out, 587 of the planned 732 castles had been built, at a total cost of $200 million. A collapsing Turkish lira, soaring import costs for construction materials, and a wildly overestimated market for niche luxury vacation homes pushed Surat Group into bankruptcy in 2018, with debts of just $5 million, a number so small relative to the $200 million already spent that it reads like a rounding error that brought down an empire. Today, hundreds of fairy tale castles sit frozen mid-construction in the Turkish countryside. Disney-esque facades wrapped around half-finished interiors, debris-strewn floors, and the eerie sense that an entire workforce simply dropped its tools and walked away mid-shift. But while Burj Al Babas became a graveyard of unfinished fairy tales, the next project aimed far higher, literally, into the Pyongyang skyline, where ambition met an entirely different kind of collapse. At number 4, the Ryugyong Hotel in Pyongyang, North Korea, was conceived in 1987 as a direct response to South Korea's Westin Stamford becoming the world's tallest hotel the previous year. Cold War rivalry expressed in concrete and glass. Standing 330 meters tall with 3 sloping wings converging into a pinnacle, the pyramid-shaped skyscraper was designed to house up to 7,665 guest rooms, 5 revolving restaurants, and a mix of apartments and business facilities. Construction began in 1987 with a target completion of 1992, intended to coincide with founding leader Kim Il-sung's 80-year birthday. But the project halted that same year as North Korea's economy collapsed following the dissolution of the Soviet Union. The building stood as an empty concrete shell, topped out but without a single window or interior fitting, for 16 years, dominating the Pyongyang skyline as an unintentional monument to an economy that had run out of money mid-build. Construction resumed in 2008 under Egyptian firm Orascom, with exterior glass panels finally completed by 2011 at an estimated total project cost of $750 million. A 2012 opening was announced, then canceled. A 2013 partial opening with hotel operator Kempinski was also canceled. Kempinski later clarifying that no formal agreement had ever actually been signed. Today, the building functions primarily as an oversized LED billboard for state propaganda. Its interior still reportedly unfinished after nearly 4 decades, having earned the nickname the Hotel of Doom for a skyline feature nobody has ever been permitted to sleep inside. At number 3, but while North Korea's pyramid sat empty by state failure, the next collapse happened in one of the most expensive postal codes on Earth, where money was never actually the problem. Neglect was. The Bishop's Avenue in London's Hampstead Garden suburb earned the nickname Billionaire's Row for a reason. Property values along the street range from £4 million to £100 million, and the road has hosted royalty, including a visit from Princess Diana to see the exiled last king of Greece. But for years, a startling number of the street's mega mansions, some with 25 or more bedrooms, purchased by foreign royal families, Gulf state investors, and offshore shell companies, sat completely empty, their owners apparently uninterested in occupying or even maintaining properties worth tens of millions of pounds. Squatters moved into at least one £3 million property. Rubbish piled up outside others. Graffiti spread across walls that had never been intended to host it. The street, despite retaining some of the highest property valuations in Britain, became a visible case study in what happens when ultra-luxury real estate gets purchased purely as an inert store of value rather than a home. Wealth parked and forgotten, decaying in plain sight, on a road where the average house still costs more than most people will earn across their entire working lives. The pattern is now reversing. Developers are converting several mansions into apartments and retirement housing, including a 93-unit complex opening in early 2026. But for the better part of 2 decades, Billionaires Row was less a neighborhood than a graveyard for unused fortunes. I break systems like this every week. Subscribe if you want to follow along. Let's get back into it. At number 2, if London's billionaires let their real estate rot from disinterest, Dubai's developers let theirs rot from financial catastrophe, on a scale visible from space. Palm Jebel Ali was conceived as Dubai's second and even more ambitious palm-shaped artificial island, designed to dwarf the original Palm Jumeirah with a larger footprint, more residential plots, and a surrounding crescent breakwater, extending the development's total reach across the Persian Gulf. Construction involved one of the largest land reclamation operations ever attempted by a private developer, with dredgers pumping millions of cubic meters of sand into the Gulf to form the outline of fronds that, from satellite imagery, were clearly visible as a deliberate, manufactured landmass. Then came the 2008 global financial crisis, and Dubai's real estate market, built substantially on speculative pre-sales and leveraged construction financing, seized up almost overnight. Developer Nikhil halted construction on Palm Jebel Ali indefinitely, leaving billions of dollars of reclaimed land sitting empty, unbuilt, and slowly eroding back toward the sea without the planned infrastructure to stabilize it. For more than a decade, an island shaped like a palm tree, visible to astronauts on the International Space Station, existed as nothing but sand, a multi-billion-dollar outline of ambition, with no buildings, no residents, and no completed roads. Only in recent years has Nikhil quietly revived elements of the project, but for the bulk of its existence, Palm Jebel Ali stood as the most visually dramatic abandoned megaproject on the planet, an entire island reclaimed from the ocean at staggering cost, sitting unused long enough that satellite photographs of it from 2010 and from 2020 look almost identical. And at number 1 is a hole in the ground, so large that it has generated its own weather system, its own urban legends, and one of the strangest sets of safety warnings ever attached to a piece of industrial infrastructure. The Mirny Diamond Mine in eastern Siberia descends approximately 525 meters into the earth, with a diameter of around 1,200 meters, making it the second largest excavated hole on the planet. Discovered in 1955 by Soviet geologists searching for kimberlite deposits, and ordered into immediate production by Stalin in 1957, despite winter temperatures of -40 degrees Celsius, cold enough to shatter steel and freeze engine oil solid. At its operational peak, Mirny produced over 2 million carats of diamonds annually, with total lifetime output generating revenue estimated at more than $16 billion, establishing the Soviet Union as a dominant force in the global diamond trade for the remainder of the 20th century. Open-pit mining ceased in 2001, with the operation transitioning to underground extraction beginning in 2009. So the mine isn't so much abandoned as it is hollowed out and repurposed beneath the surface, with Russian company Alrosa continuing underground research and extraction to this day. The most famous detail about Mirny, repeated across documentaries and travel blogs for over a decade, is that its airspace is closed because the pit allegedly generates a vortex powerful enough to suck helicopters out of the sky, a claim with no verified evidence behind it whatsoever, despite being treated online as established fact. What is true is that the dramatic temperature differential between the warm air trapped deep in the pit and the freezing Siberian air above it does generate genuine, powerful air currents, real physics behind an exaggerated legend. In 2010, a Russian architectural firm proposed converting the abandoned upper pit into a domed, self-sustaining city for over 100,000 residents, complete with vertical farms and solar power, a plan that, like so many entries on this list, has never moved past the renderings. Today, the open pit scar of Mirny remains visible from orbit, a half-kilometer deep monument to Soviet industrial ambition, generating diamonds in the dark, long after the world above it stopped paying attention to how they got there. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the world's most fascinating luxury failures, make sure you subscribe for more stories about billionaire assets, hidden wealth, mega projects, luxury engineering, and the extraordinary machines that shape our world. Until next time, keep thinking bigger, keep questioning the numbers, and remember, behind every abandoned billion-dollar dream is a story far more expensive than the concrete left behind. I will see you in the next one.